Hey, so this week when we were working with the Scratch program, I had a lot of fun playing around with those, playing around with the different um, programs we coded. And you can see I got all my different programs in here. Um, I did a remix on this game that I found called Avoid the Red, where they had you as a dragon and you had to avoid the red ball. I'll show you what the game looks like now when I've remixed it. Um, so if you go widescreen, so it gives you the instructions. I added the instruction screen here with the begin, and then you use the arrow keys to move your dragon. You gotta get to the green thing. Every time you get to the green arrow, the number of balls that are there double. So it adds copies that are smaller. And then if I can get to the princess here, you win. So that's what the game looks like. Of course, if you don't get to the princess, if you hit the green thing, a reset comes up, at which point you can reset back from the beginning. And it keeps your time counting if you lose. So, so that was the game I remixed. Stop that. You can see inside the code, the basic code for it was fairly basic. They just had the one screen here with the red dot and the dragon. So I added a lot of extra screens to it. I added all different backdrops. They had all the movement for the dragon already in there. They had the movement for the ball there, except for their ball didn't move. You can see I changed how it moves actually. I made it so that it would randomly turn 1 to 8 degrees and then move along that in order to give it a little bit more of a nice movement. They didn't have that, and they also didn't have it so that if it touches the edge, it bounces. So I added that in as well. And then I added all the clone in here so that every time the backdrop switches, it clones itself, which then means that if it starts with 1, it goes to 2, and then if it has 2, it goes to 4, 4 goes to 8, and so on. So each level gets harder and harder. So in the background, so the backdrops, I had to add in some extra backdrops. So they started with this basic level, and then, as I said, I made it so that it would go through all the different backdrops. So you're approaching a castle, essentially, and then you get into the castle, and then when you're in the castle, you find the princess to eat, of course, because you're a dragon. So I had a lot of fun with the different projects here this week. I thought Scratch was a fun program. I thought it was pretty easy to use. You can see I did the basic ones. I did Where's Waldo, the look one, which had a couple problems at the end towards that I could have spent a little more time to straighten out, but I wanted to get on to some of the other projects here. So yeah, I think Scratch is a really cool program. I think there's a lot that you can use with it, a lot that you can have students see troubleshooting their code. The one thing I didn't like about it as much as I liked with Python is with Python, if you have an error in the code, it tells you which line the error comes from. Whereas in Scratch, if there's a bug in the system, you have to kind of search for where the bug was. And I also didn't particularly like the fact that you couldn't type the commands in and you had to search for the blocks. I mean, I see the appeal to it, and I think that in this program it works well, but I would like a chance instead of, like, if I wanted to have one of these do something else, I have to find the code over here in order to drag it over. I mean, there is a couple of shortcuts here, but if you didn't know which one was under, then it was a lot of trying to hunt and find it, whereas in Python, you can just type the code. So that's my remix. Again, a lot of fun with it, and I hope to hear from you guys.